We may appear mature or even old to others, but inside many of us, there are younger, wounded parts frozen at the age we first experienced emotional pain. These parts live quietly in our subconscious, yet they often run the show, shaping our decisions and direction despite our logic and intentions. It's time to reconnect with the inner child within us, to offer her healing she never received, so we can live the rest of our lives with greater harmony, joy, and fulfillment. Welcome to She Became CEO, the podcast for women transforming body, mindset, relationships, and money. I'm your host, Ilze B., and here we speak boldly, heal deeply, and lead lives we're proud of. This is about becoming the CEO of your voice, your business, and your life on your terms. Let's begin. In the last episode, I introduced the concept of attachment styles. To remind you, there are 4 of them: secure, anxious, avoidant, and disorganized. The latter is a combination of anxious and avoidant attachments. The theory of adult attachment styles is rooted in the concept that humans are very heterogeneous species, varying in appearance, attitudes, and behaviors, and this variety includes attachment styles. These characteristics have helped us to survive. We all have a basic need to form close bonds, but we manage them differently. Historically, in a very dangerous environment, some thought it would be less advantageous to invest time and energy in just one person because it would not be likely that they would be around for long. Hence the avoidant attachers. They think that it makes more sense to get less attached and move on. The anxious attachers act in the opposite manner and are intensely persistent and hypervigilant about staying close to their attachment figures to increase their survival chances. In a more peaceful setting, the intimate bonds are formed by investing greatly in a particular individual, and hence the secure attachment style. The healthiest way is to learn to be secure. You can do it because you can change your attachment style, and people often do so even without realizing it. You might still sometimes fall back to one of those insecure attachments, avoidant, anxious, or disorganized, but once you learn to recognize the pattern, you can also learn to get back to where you feel secure more quickly and easily, which will benefit all. You in particular, because feeling secure feels good. I remember a time in my life when I was acting like an avoidant because my partner was very anxious. It was a few years after I had started my translation business, so I was very busy at work and I enjoyed the growth, which made my partner insecure. He would call and text me numerous times a day to check on me, and if I didn't respond immediately, he would bombard me with texts. It felt similar to being guarded by a helicopter parent in my mid-30s, so I started acting like an avoidant, seeking peace from my partner, which increased his insecurity. After moving to the US, I was completely dependent on my husband, especially because I was also responsible for a minor, so I developed fawning and people-pleasing habits, typical to anxious attachers. I thought I needed them, at least they worked at the time. They helped me to create a circle of friends and my first business here. I wonder if I have maintained those habits. There was a situation where I started questioning what part of me is authentic, loving, playful, and cheerful me, and what part may be a mask that has grown onto me without me realizing it. I got curious, sought information, and my explorations brought up an interesting insight. We can develop attachments not only to a person but also to situations and objects such as money. With this insight in mind, I understood better now how a limiting belief may have determined the destiny of my businesses and my money in the past. I started young as an entrepreneur. I've had several solo businesses, and I have also co-owned businesses. My solo businesses were always very successful at the start, but something always happened and I let it all go down. When I shared this with a friend a few years ago, she dropped a question. Do you have a fear of success? I remember I said no, but her pointed observation stuck in my brain, and now I realize that I probably did because there was a clear pattern. I may reveal more details in one of my future episodes about this, but now I'll just say that I'm glad I have this awareness now, as I'm working on a new project for mature women to help them step into their creative power and develop a project or a business. Why I am focusing on mature women in particular is because I understand the changes women go through in their premenopausal and postmenopausal stages. It's about transforming their sexual energy from birthing, nurturing, and growing babies to birthing, nurturing, and growing their creations, for which sexual energy is needed because sexual energy is creative energy. Well, everything is energy. Some say there's masculine energy and feminine energy. Regardless of whether you are a male or a female, there are both types of energies within you. Author, podcaster, coach, and entrepreneur Shamina Taylor says that the masculine energy is goal-driven and methodological, going from task to task, hustling, working hard, focusing on achieving, while feminine energy is all about relaxing into the flow and receiving what life has to offer. What I had not been fully aware of was my powerful feminine energy as an attractor. I realized that being dug out of my natural environment and replanted into a foreign land threw me into a survival mode where I hustled and people-pleased when I didn't have to because I was attractive already. I was into my controlling masculine when I could be in my powerful feminine, relax and let it be. Sadly, in Western society, a lot of damage has been done also to women by praising the masculine energy and not recognizing and rewarding the feminine energy as equal, at least not as equally valuable in the job market. As a result, women have been striving to think and act like men and speak in the way men speak so they would be listened to and taken seriously. In this episode, we explore a theme that touches the lives of so many women, whether or not they realize it. The unconscious ways we operate from wounded feminine or wounded masculine energy. These aren't about gender, but about energy dynamics we've absorbed and expressed throughout our lives, especially when we've had to adapt for love, safety, or approval. An important thing to understand is that masculine and feminine energies each have both healthy and wounded expressions. I have always felt very feminine and proud of it, but now I understand that at times my feminine energy was actually coming from a wounded, disempowered state. Similarly, having learned about these energies in hindsight, I see that oftentimes I built up a shield of wounded masculine energy, thinking it was strength when in fact it was a survival mechanism. So what can be the signs that the woman is in her wounded feminine energy? Overall, the wounded feminine energy often shows up as insecurity, emotional dependence, and constant search for love and approval outside ourselves. It can involve self-sacrifice and people-pleasing, overgiving and then resenting it, emotional overwhelm and victimhood, a chameleon-like ability to become who others want us to be, comparison, self-doubt, and the willingness to be rescued. This version of the feminine is not the radiant, grounded energy we may desire. It's the one shaped by unhealed wounds and unmet needs. The common signs that signal a woman is in her wounded masculine energy can show as overachievement and work addiction, a fixation on productivity as the source of worth, control, perfectionism, and emotional unavailability, restlessness, tension, and disconnection from the body. This is often the performer energy, head over heart, doing over feeling, success over softness. It can be deeply isolating, yet it feels safe, especially for women who learned early on that emotions weren't welcome or femininity wasn't valued. I recognize now that I have been shifting between the two at times, and it may have affected my business and my personal relationships. By the way, if you recognize yourself in these descriptions, just have curiosity, smile, and know you're fine. It's normal. Many women unknowingly swing between these two wounded poles. When the wounded feminine feels too raw or painful, we shift into wounded masculine mode, thinking that's how we'll fix it. So we start organizing, achieving, and pushing forward to feel in control, but eventually we crash, burn out, and slip back into emotional overwhelm. Unfortunately, this pendulum swing can become a way of life. Perform, collapse, repeat. The key insight here is that both wounded expressions are responses to unmet emotional needs, usually from childhood. At the heart of every wounded behavior is a sensation we're trying to avoid. It's a yearning or pain we don't yet know how to meet within ourselves. Instead of feeling it, we try to soothe or fix it externally. However, real healing begins when we pause and tune in, asking, what am I feeling in my body right now? What part of me has been triggered or activated? What does this part of me truly need or ache for? I have been notorious for sweeping the uncomfortable feelings under the rug. Now I'm learning to sit with the feeling, hold the inner child in my arms so she calms down, and meet the need with love and presence instead of reaching outward to patch the discomfort. When we do that, something profound begins to happen. We stop outsourcing our worth. We begin to feel full, calm, whole. We no longer need to be rescued, validated, or proven through doing. We become the source of our own love and safety. And from that place, we can finally experience what we've been longing for, not from a place of lack, but from a space of empowered, embodied wholeness. This isn't about rejecting your masculine or your feminine. It's about recognizing when those energies are distorted by pain and learning how to gently bring them back into balance. The journey takes time, but it's a return to your truest self. So it's definitely worth it. I'm very grateful for those insights. I'm okay knowing that healing doesn't happen through surface level fixes and that it takes time. And those are the insights I would like you to take away from this podcast episode. Remember that it's not about forcing ourselves to stop people pleasing or working so much. Instead, it's about meeting the wound that drives the behavior. I identified one during my walk on my half-life celebration day, which I talked about in episode 8. I talked about another one in episode 19 when I revealed that as a child I wanted to marry my dad and he rejected me. There was a piece of energy stuck in me throughout my life that didn't serve me well in my business or my relationships. Energy is the theme that I'm focusing on today. And energy is also the theme I end my manifesto with. I wrote in 2020 in the form of a poem. In fact, I feel like I didn't write it. I feel like it was dictated to me by the universe itself because I still can't believe I wrote something so timeless and beautiful. This manifesto has several other themes such as community and belonging, language and communication, playfulness and responsibilities, sexuality, being in the human body or other form, and the fact that often it's not about us, like it's often not about us when our friend or loved one acts weirdly towards us. Trust that they may be under a lot of pressure these days, so it's likely not about you, but about their own unresolved inner problems. Focus on yourself. Stop controlling. Have faith. But back to the manifesto. It's a summary of what I want to expand upon in my future episodes, so I'll read it now for you to enjoy as I'm opening this new chapter of my podcast and finishing the first episode under the new title, She Became CEO. Manifesto for us, gardens, rivers, and power plants. Be a jovial brook who knows its purpose is to become a powerful waterway and connect continents. Be a garden that attracts eyes and butterflies. Be an inviting space for visitors and conversations. Listen attentively and learn languages. There are so many. Your guardian angels, your financial advisors, and that of the opposite sex. Interpret for others who don't understand. Don't over-explain, for wisdom emerges in silence. Watch clouds, trees, and birds. They carry messages. Accidentally dropped words do too. Pay attention. Ignore nothing. Notice colors and shades. Paint in colors for moods. Paint in black and white for contrast. Paint in words to empower. Share your voice humbly yet confidently. Be proud of your achievements. Serve more. Own your mistakes and find humor in your frustrations. The world needs more laughter. Be the source of laughter. Never ridicule. Build houses, sandcastles, and people. Your home will be where your people are. That's also where you'll play. Honor your sexuality. It's your power plant. It's your most powerful plant garden. Relax and make love. Fall in love. Experiment. Surrender and rule. Trust and be ready to be betrayed. Things happen. Forgive and ask for forgiveness. Be ready to not be forgiven. It's not about you. Don't complain about rainy days. Somewhere, someone is dying from thirst. Fast to cleanse your body and mind. Build endurance and trust. The rewards are worth it. Stay youthful, yet don't be afraid to die. You won't disappear. Energies don't disappear. They change states. You are energy, and so are your words. Flow with your words, or don't. Once born, they'll have their own life. You are a separate matter. Know that you matter. Thanks for listening to She Became CEO. If this episode sparked something in you, share it with a woman who is ready to reclaim her voice, her business, or her life. You can subscribe, leave a review, or explore more at shebecameceo.com. And remember, the transformation starts with you. Until the next time, lead boldly and speak your truth.